Kim Jong Un is one of the most enigmatic leaders in modern politics. A figure whose personal interests and leadership style have drawn global attention. But what makes Kim Jong Un so mysterious? And why does the world remain so fascinated by his every move? To understand the enigma of Kim Jong Un, we must first look back at his origins and the unique circumstances that shaped his rise to power. Born in 1984, Kim Jong Un is the third and youngest son of Kim Jong Il, the former supreme leader of North Korea, and the grandson of Kim Il-sung, the nation's founding father. From an early age, Kim Jong Un was shrouded in secrecy. Very little was known about his childhood, and even today, much of his early life remains a closely guarded secret. He was reportedly educated in Switzerland under a pseudonym, where he developed a passion for basketball and Western culture, an unusual trait for a future North Korean leader. Despite his exposure to the West, Kim Jong Un's upbringing was anything but ordinary. He was raised in a world of privilege and power, surrounded by loyal aides and bodyguards, and groomed from a young age to one day inherit the leadership of one of the world's most isolated regimes. His father, Kim Jong Il, was known for his own eccentricities and secretive nature, and he ensured that his son's life was kept out of the public eye. When Kim Jong Il died in 2011, the world watched with bated breath as Kim Jong Un, then in his late 20s, was thrust into the spotlight. Many doubted his ability to lead, given his youth and inexperience. Yet, Kim Jong Un quickly consolidated power, eliminating rivals and establishing himself as the undisputed leader of North Korea. His swift and ruthless rise stunned observers and sent shockwaves through the international community. Kim Jong Un's leadership style is a blend of tradition and unpredictability. He has maintained the cult of personality established by his father and grandfather, with grand parades, massive portraits, and state-sponsored adulation. At the same time, he has demonstrated a willingness to break with tradition, engaging in high-profile summits with world leaders, including unprecedented meetings with the President of the United States and the President of South Korea. Personal anecdotes from defectors and rare glimpses into Kim Jong Un's private life paint a picture of a man who is both charismatic and ruthless. He is said to enjoy luxury goods, fine dining, and imported alcohol, while also displaying a temper and a penchant for sudden, dramatic decisions. Stories abound of his love for basketball, particularly the NBA, and his admiration for Michael Jordan. Yet, these humanizing details only add to the mystery as they contrast sharply with the harsh realities faced by ordinary North Koreans. The global reaction to Kim Jong Un has been a mix of fear, fascination, and skepticism. His nuclear ambitions and frequent missile tests have drawn widespread condemnation and led to severe international sanctions. At the same time, his unexpected diplomatic overtures have raised hopes for peace on the Korean peninsula, even as many remain wary of his true intentions. Kim Jong Un's enigmatic nature is further amplified by the tightly controlled flow of information from North Korea. State media presents him as a near mythical figure, while foreign intelligence agencies struggle to piece together accurate information about his health, family, and inner circle. Rumors of illness, assassination attempts, and internal purges frequently make headlines, but the truth is often elusive. Historically, the Kim dynasty has thrived on secrecy and unpredictability. Kim Jong Un has continued this tradition, using both fear and spectacle to maintain his grip on power. His regime is marked by brutal crackdowns on dissent, yet also by moments of surprising openness, such as his decision to allow South Korean musicians to perform in Pyongyang, or his public appearance with his wife, Ri Sol-ju. The world's fascination with Kim Jong Un shows no signs of waning. He remains a symbol of both danger and intrigue, a leader whose actions can shift the balance of power in East Asia and beyond. As analysts and world leaders attempt to decipher his motives, one thing is clear: Kim Jong Un's secretive world continues to captivate and confound, making him one of the most enigmatic figures of our time. In the chapters ahead, we will delve deeper into the secretive world of Kim Jong Un, exploring the myths, the realities, and the global impact of his rule. From his carefully curated public image to the shadowy workings of his regime, we will uncover the layers of mystery that surround North Korea's elusive leader. Join us as we journey into the heart of one of the world's most secretive and enigmatic regimes, and attempt to unravel the secrets of Kim Jong Un's extraordinary life and leadership. Kim Jong Un's world is one of stark contrasts, defined by both extravagant indulgence and profound isolation. While the vast majority of North Koreans live under strict controls and limited access to the outside world, the Supreme Leader's personal interests and lifestyle are marked by a taste for luxury and a fascination with global culture, privileges reserved for only the most elite in the country. From a young age, Kim Jong Un was exposed to the finer things in life. Reports from defectors and intelligence sources have painted a picture of a leader who surrounds himself with opulence. His private garages are filled with fleets of luxury cars, Mercedes-Benz, Rolls-Royce, and even custom-made armored limousines. These vehicles, often seen in tightly guarded convoys, are symbols of status and power, rarely glimpsed by ordinary citizens. But Kim's appetite for luxury extends far beyond automobiles. He is known to enjoy imported Swiss watches, some worth tens of thousands of dollars, and has a penchant for rare French cheeses and fine wines, which are smuggled into the country despite international sanctions. Lavish banquets featuring delicacies from around the world are a regular occurrence at his palatial residences, where only the most trusted officials are invited to dine. Digital entertainment is another of Kim Jong Un's passions. Unlike the rest of the population, who are restricted to state-controlled media and have little to no access to the global internet, Kim enjoys a private collection of the latest electronic gadgets, smartphones, tablets, and gaming consoles from the West and Japan. He reportedly spends hours in his personal movie theater, watching Hollywood blockbusters and international news, gaining insights into global trends and culture that are denied to his people. Kim's interest in sports is also well documented. He is an avid basketball fan, a passion that began during his school years in Switzerland. His private courts are equipped with the best equipment money can buy, and he has even hosted former NBA stars for exhibition games. These experiences, far removed from the daily realities of most North Koreans, highlight the deep divide between the leader and his subjects. The isolation that defines North Korean society is both physical and psychological. The country's borders are tightly sealed, with guards patrolling the DMZ and barbed wire stretching for miles. Ordinary citizens are forbidden from traveling abroad, and even within the country. Movement is heavily restricted. Access to information is strictly controlled. Most families rely on outdated televisions that broadcast only government-approved content, and radios are fixed to state frequencies. Education is similarly limited. Students learn from textbooks that glorify the Kim dynasty and present a distorted view of the outside world. Foreign books, films, and music are banned, and possession of such material can result in severe punishment. The regime's grip on information ensures that the population remains isolated with little knowledge of life beyond their borders. Daily life for most North Koreans is a struggle. Food shortages are common, and many rely on government rations to survive. Grocery stores often have empty shelves, and families make do with what little they have. In contrast, Kim Jong Un's banquets are lavish affairs, with tables groaning under the weight of imported delicacies and fine wines. Despite these hardships, the regime maintains a facade of normalcy. State-run amusement parks, though often in disrepair, offer brief moments of escape for children, while the propaganda posters and mass rallies reinforce loyalty to the leadership. Yet beneath the surface, the sense of isolation is pervasive. Families gather in dimly lit rooms, sharing modest meals and stories of hardship, while the outside world remains a distant dream. Kim Jong Un's isolation is not just a product of geography or politics. It is a deliberate strategy. By keeping his people cut off from the rest of the world, he maintains control and prevents the spread of dissent. At the same time, his own access to global culture and luxury serves to reinforce his status as the ultimate authority, above and apart from the struggles of ordinary citizens. The impact of this isolation is profound. Generations of North Koreans have grown up knowing little of the world beyond their borders. Their understanding of history, politics, and even daily life is shaped by state propaganda and the ever-present cult of personality surrounding the Kim family. For many, the idea of a different life is unimaginable. Yet, within the walls of his palaces, Kim Jong Un enjoys the best that the world has to offer. His collection of rare art, imported technology, and luxury goods stands in stark contrast to the poverty and deprivation faced by his people. This duality of indulgence and isolation defines not only his personal world, but the very nature of North Korean society. As the supreme leader, Kim Jong Un's interests and isolation are inextricably linked. His pursuit of luxury and global culture is possible only because of the strict controls he imposes on his people. In turn, the isolation of the population ensures his continued dominance, creating a society where privilege and deprivation exist side by side, separated by walls, both real and invisible. In the end, Kim Jong Un's secretive world is a reflection of the country he rules, a place of contrasts where the few enjoy unimaginable wealth and freedom, while the many live in the shadow of isolation and control. The impact of this divide is felt in every aspect of North Korean life, shaping the hopes, dreams, and realities of an entire nation. Kim Jong Un's private life is shrouded in an extraordinary level of secrecy, a veil that extends not only to the outside world, but also within the highest echelons of North Korean society. Very little is publicly known about his family, his daily routines, or the true nature of the internal decision-making structure of the state. This secrecy is not accidental. It is a carefully constructed system of control, designed to protect the leader, maintain his mystique, and ensure the absolute loyalty of those around him. The Kim family's history is itself a closely guarded secret. While official state media occasionally releases carefully curated images of Kim Jong Un with his wife, Ri Sol-ju, and their children, the details of their lives remain almost entirely hidden. Even the number of children Kim has is a matter of speculation, with some reports suggesting he has 3, while others claim more. the identities of his siblings, their roles within the regime, and the fate of other family members are all subjects of intense rumor and conjecture. Some believe that certain relatives have been exiled or even executed to eliminate potential threats to Kim's rule, but the stories are nearly impossible to verify. The leader's daily routine is equally mysterious. Unlike other world leaders, who are often seen in public or whose schedules are at least partially disclosed, Kim's movements are unpredictable and closely guarded. He is said to travel with a large security detail, often using decoy vehicles and last-minute changes to his itinerary to avoid any potential threats. His residences are scattered across the country, with each compound equipped with state-of-the-art security systems, underground bunkers, and escape routes. Some defectors have described elaborate protocols for serving his meals, with food prepared by trusted chefs and tested for poison before it reaches his table. Inside the palatial walls, Kim's world is one of constant surveillance and control. Trusted aides and family members are kept under close watch, and even the most senior officials are rarely granted direct access to the leader. Communication is tightly controlled, with information flowing upward through layers of intermediaries, each one carefully vetted for loyalty. Decisions are made behind closed doors, often in secret meetings attended by only a handful of the most trusted advisors. The true power structure of the regime is opaque, with titles and positions often serving as little more than a facade for the real dynamics at play. Theories abound about the internal workings of the North Korean state. Some analysts believe that a small inner circle, composed of family members and long-serving loyalists, wields significant influence over policy decisions. Others argue that Kim Jong Un maintains absolute authority, with even his closest advisors acting only as executors of his will. There are persistent rumors of purges, disappearances, and sudden demotions, all designed to eliminate dissent and reinforce the leader's dominance. The fate of high-ranking officials can change overnight, with little explanation given to the public or even to other members of the government. The secrecy surrounding Kim's life extends to his personal habits and preferences. Reports suggest that he enjoys Western luxury goods, fine dining, and imported alcohol, but these details are gleaned from rare glimpses and the accounts of defectors. His health is a subject of constant speculation, with occasional absences from public view fueling rumors of illness or injury. State media is quick to dispel such rumors, often releasing images or footage of Kim appearing healthy and in control. But the truth remains elusive. This culture of secrecy serves a dual purpose. It protects Kim Jong Un from potential threats, both internal and external, and it reinforces the myth of the infallible leader. By keeping the details of his life hidden, the regime is able to project an image of strength and invulnerability, while also keeping potential rivals off balance. The lack of transparency makes it nearly impossible for outsiders to predict the regime's actions or to understand the true motivations behind its decisions. For the North Korean people, this secrecy is a fact of life. Ordinary citizens know little about their leader beyond what is shown in state propaganda. Questions about the leader's family, his health, or the workings of the government are considered taboo, and even the slightest hint of curiosity can be dangerous. The regime's control over information is absolute, with foreign media banned and the internet tightly restricted. This information vacuum allows the state to shape the narrative, presenting Kim Jong Un as a near mythical figure whose wisdom and strength are beyond question. In the end, the world is left to piece together fragments of information, relying on satellite images, defector testimonies, and rare glimpses from state media to try to understand the man at the center of North Korea's secretive world. The truth about Kim Jong Un's life, his family, and the inner workings of his regime remains one of the most closely guarded secrets in the world, a testament to the power of secrecy and control in maintaining an enigmatic and unchallenged rule. North Korea's political system is one of the most centralized and tightly controlled in the world, a legacy that traces back to the aftermath of World War II and the division of the Korean Peninsula. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea, as it is officially known, was established in 1948 under the leadership of Kim Il-sung, who laid the foundation for a dynastic regime that continues to this day. The country's government is structured around the principle of absolute authority vested in the supreme leader. This position, first held by Kim Il-sung, then by his son Kim Jong-il, and now by Kim Jong Un, is at the apex of all political, military, and social life. The ruling Workers' Party of Korea dominates every aspect of governance, with no tolerance for opposition or dissent. Historically, North Korea's political system was modeled after Soviet-style communism, but over time it evolved into a unique form of totalitarianism centered on the Kim family. The ideology of Yushe, or self-reliance, was introduced by Kim Il-sung and remains the guiding philosophy of the state. Yushe emphasizes independence from foreign influence, both politically and economically, and reinforces the cult of personality surrounding the leadership. The impact of this system on the population is profound. The government maintains strict control over information, with all media and communications tightly censored. Access to the internet is virtually non-existent for ordinary citizens, and foreign media is banned. The state controls education, employment, and even personal relationships, ensuring that loyalty to the regime is instilled from an early age. Comparisons with other authoritarian regimes, such as the former Soviet Union or present-day China, reveal both similarities and stark differences. Like the Soviet Union, North Korea employs a single-party system, secret police, and pervasive surveillance. However, the level of isolation and the hereditary succession of power set North Korea apart. Unlike China, which has embraced some economic reforms and limited openness, North Korea remains almost entirely closed off from the outside world. The regime's strict control extends to the legal system, where the concept of due process is virtually absent. Political prisoners, including entire families, can be sent to labor camps for perceived disloyalty or minor infractions. Human rights organizations estimate that hundreds of thousands of people have been detained in these camps over the decades, often subjected to harsh conditions and forced labor. The government also orchestrates mass mobilizations and public displays of loyalty, such as military parades and synchronized performances, to reinforce unity and obedience. These events are meticulously planned and serve as both a show of strength to the outside world and a tool of internal control. The impact of such strict control on the population is multifaceted. On one hand, it has created a society where dissent is rare and dangerous, and where the state's narrative is the only one available. On the other hand, it has led to widespread fear, conformity, and a lack of personal freedoms. Ordinary North Koreans are often unaware of global events or alternative ways of life, as the regime works tirelessly to shield them from outside influences. Despite these challenges, there are occasional glimpses of resistance and change. Some North Koreans risk severe punishment to access foreign media or communicate with relatives abroad. Defectors who manage to escape often describe a gradual awakening to the realities of the outside world, highlighting the resilience and courage of those living under such an oppressive system. In summary, North Korea's political system is a product of its unique history and the enduring legacy of the Kim dynasty. Its combination of absolute authority, ideological indoctrination, and strict control over every aspect of life has created one of the most secretive and repressive societies in modern history. The impact on the population is profound, shaping not only their daily lives, but also their perceptions of the world beyond their borders. Kim Jong Un represents a rare and complex combination of factors that have come to define his leadership and the world's fascination with him. At the heart of his rule lies a blend of personal interests, an intensely private life, and a system of comprehensive state control that is both unique and deeply entrenched in North Korean society. Kim's personal interests are not just a matter of idle curiosity, they are a window into the paradoxes of his leadership. He is known for his love of luxury goods, from imported Swiss watches and rare liquors to high-end cars and private jets. These indulgences stand in stark contrast to the daily realities faced by most North Koreans who live under strict rationing and economic hardship. Yet, these personal interests serve a dual purpose. They reinforce his image as a powerful, almost mythical leader to his inner circle, while also signaling to the outside world that he is not bound by the same limitations as his people. But beyond these visible symbols of wealth, Kim Jong Un's life is shrouded in secrecy. Very little is known about his upbringing, his family's internal dynamics, or even the details of his health. The secrecy is not accidental. It is a deliberate strategy, rooted in the traditions of the Kim dynasty and reinforced by the state's tight control over information. Theories abound regarding his education in Switzerland, his relationships with his siblings, and the extent of his personal involvement in state affairs. Some analysts suggest that this aura of mystery is designed to keep both domestic and international audiences guessing, making it difficult for rivals to predict his next move or for foreign governments to develop effective strategies for engagement. State control under Kim Jong Un is perhaps the most defining feature of his leadership. The North Korean regime maintains an iron grip on every aspect of life, from the economy and the media to the movements and thoughts of its citizens. Surveillance is omnipresent, with neighborhood watch units, informants, and a vast security apparatus ensuring that dissent is swiftly and ruthlessly suppressed. The regime's use of propaganda is sophisticated and relentless, portraying Kim as a benevolent father figure, a military genius, and the rightful heir to a revolutionary legacy. Mass games, parades, and carefully orchestrated public events reinforce this narrative, creating a sense of unity and purpose that is both genuine and manufactured. The combination of these factors, personal interests, secrecy, and state control, creates a leadership style that is both enigmatic and effective in maintaining the regime's stability. Kim's personal indulgences are not merely for pleasure, they are tools of power, used to reward loyalty and signal status within the elite. His secrecy keeps potential challengers off balance, while the state's control mechanisms ensure that any hint of opposition is quickly extinguished. Political theorists have long debated the nature of authoritarian leadership, and Kim Jong Un's rule offers a compelling case study. Some argue that his approach is a modern adaptation of the cult of personality, a phenomenon seen in other totalitarian regimes where the leader is elevated to near divine status. Others point to the concept of neo-patrimonialism, where personal relationships and patronage networks are more important than formal institutions. In Kim's North Korea, both theories seem to apply. The cult of personality is alive and well, but it is underpinned by a web of personal loyalties and rewards that keep the elite invested in the regime's survival. There are also elements of what scholars call totalitarian resilience, the ability of a regime to adapt and survive in the face of internal and external pressures. Kim Jong Un has demonstrated a willingness to modernize certain aspects of the economy, allowing limited market activity and technological innovation while maintaining strict political control. The selective openness has helped the regime weather economic sanctions and international isolation, even as it continues to pursue its nuclear ambitions. Kim's leadership is further defined by his ability to project strength and unpredictability on the world stage. His meetings with foreign leaders, such as the historic summits with the presidents of South Korea and the United States, are carefully choreographed to enhance his legitimacy and bargaining power. At the same time, his regime's secrecy and control make it difficult for outsiders to assess his true intentions or the stability of his rule. In sum, Kim Jong Un's leadership is the product of a unique combination of personal interests, secrecy, and state control, each reinforcing the other in a complex web of power. His love of luxury and his carefully guarded private life serve as both a shield and a weapon, while the state's control mechanisms ensure that his authority remains unchallenged. Theories of authoritarianism, cult of personality, and totalitarian resilience all find expression in his rule, making him one of the most enigmatic and studied leaders of the modern era. As the world continues to watch North Korea with a mix of fear, fascination, and uncertainty, it is this combination of factors that will likely continue to define Kim Jong Un's leadership and the fate of his country for years to come. To truly understand Kim Jong Un's leadership, we must look back to his formative years, a period cloaked in as much mystery as his rule itself. The roots of his power and the enigma that surrounds him are deeply embedded in his early life and education. Born on January 8, 1984, into the secretive Kim dynasty, Kim Jong Un's early life was marked by privilege, isolation, and careful grooming for power. As the third and youngest son of Kim Jong-il, he was raised in a world of absolute secrecy, surrounded by luxury, but also by constant surveillance and control. His mother, Ko Yong-hui, was a favored consort of Kim Jong-il, and Kim Jong-un was reportedly his father's favorite child, a status that would shape his destiny. From a young age, Kim was kept out of the public eye, his existence rarely acknowledged by the North Korean state. He spent his earliest years within heavily guarded family compounds, shielded from the outside world. His childhood was one of both immense privilege and profound loneliness, with few playmates and constant reminders of his family's unique status. Kim's education began at home, where he was tutored in the history and ideology of the Kim dynasty. He was taught to revere his grandfather, Kim Il-sung, and to understand the importance of the family's legacy. Lessons in politics, military strategy, and leadership were woven into his daily routine, preparing him from an early age for the possibility of succession. Unlike many world leaders, Kim spent a portion of his youth outside North Korea, attending school in Switzerland under a false identity. In the mid-1990s, he was enrolled at the Liebefeldstein-Holzli-Schule, a public school in Bern, where he was known as Pak Un, the son of a North Korean embassy employee. During his years in Bern, Kim was exposed to a dramatically different world, one of openness, modernity, and Western culture. The contrast between the strict, insular environment of North Korea and the freedom of Switzerland was stark. Classmates recall a quiet, reserved boy with a passion for basketball and American films, a stark contrast to the rigid, militarized environment he would later command. He was described as shy but polite and seemed to enjoy the relative anonymity his assumed identity provided. Yet even in Switzerland, whose life was tightly controlled, Kim was always accompanied by bodyguards, and his movements were closely monitored by North Korean minders. He rarely participated in school trips or social events, and his interactions with other students were limited. Surrounded by bodyguards and kept at arm's length from other students, Kim's experience abroad was both liberating and isolating. He was able to witness a world beyond North Korea's borders, but never truly became a part of it. Some analysts believe these years shaped Kim Jong Un's worldview in subtle but significant ways. The exposure to Western ideas, technology, and culture may have broadened his perspective, even as his upbringing kept him rooted in the traditions of the Kim dynasty. His exposure to Western ideas may have influenced his limited economic reforms and interest in technology, as seen in his later efforts to modernize parts of North Korea's economy and infrastructure. At the same time, his isolation only deepened his reliance on secrecy and control. The lessons of his childhood, trust no one, reveal nothing, remained central to his leadership style. The contrast between the freedoms he witnessed and the constraints of Pito's upbringing may have contributed to the paradoxes seen in his leadership today. He is a leader who embraces modernity in some areas, yet fiercely guards the secrecy and isolation of his regime. Ultimately, Kim Jong Un's time in Switzerland did not make him a reformer, but it did set him apart from his predecessors. He returned to North Korea in the early 2000s, reportedly to attend the Kim Il-sung Military University, where his training in leadership and military affairs intensified. At the university, Kim was immersed in the study of military tactics, statecraft, and the ideology of which the guiding philosophy of North Korea. His education was designed to prepare him for the highest levels of leadership, with a focus on loyalty to the regime and the absolute authority of the Kim family. As he emerged from the shadows to take his place as North Korea's leader, Kim Jong Un brought with him a unique blend of experiences, rooted in the insular world of the Kim dynasty, yet touched by the outside world. It gave him a unique perspective on the world, and perhaps a deeper understanding of both the strengths and vulnerabilities of his own regime. The story of Kim Jong Un's early life and education is one of contrasts, privilege and isolation, tradition and modernity, secrecy and exposure. These formative experiences continue to shape the enigmatic leader at the heart of North Korea's secretive world. As Kim Jong-il's health declined in the late 2000s, the question of succession loomed over North Korea. Unlike the meticulously planned transitions seen in other dynasties, Kim Jong-un's ascent was both swift and shrouded in secrecy. Despite being the youngest son, he was chosen over his elder brothers, an unexpected move that caught even seasoned analysts by surprise. The groundwork for his succession began quietly. In 2009, Kim Jong Un started appearing at official events, his presence carefully choreographed by the regime. By 2010, he was named a 4-star general and given key party and military positions, despite his youth and limited experience. The North Korean media began referring to him as the brilliant comrade, signaling his anointment as heir apparent. When Kim Jong-il died in December 2011, Kim Jong-un was thrust into the spotlight. At just 27 years old, he faced a daunting array of challenges, consolidating his authority, proving his legitimacy to both the ruling elite and the military, and navigating the expectations of a population conditioned to revere his family line. His early years as leader were marked by swift and sometimes brutal moves to eliminate rivals and secure his position. High-ranking officials, including his own uncle Jang Song-taek, were purged in high-profile displays of loyalty and power. This action sent a clear message. Kim Jong-un would tolerate no challenges to his rule. At the same time, he sought to project an image of strength and continuity, appearing frequently in public and emphasizing his connection to his grandfather Kim Il-sung. Underpinning his rule was a careful balance of fear, loyalty, and the enduring mystique of the Kim dynasty. Kim Jong-un's rise to power was neither smooth nor guaranteed. He faced skepticism from within the regime and the constant threat of instability. Yet, through a combination of calculated ruthlessness, inherited legitimacy, and the machinery of state propaganda, he solidified his grip on the nation. The transition from Kim Jong-il to Kim Jong-un was a pivotal moment in North Korea's history, a blend of tradition, coercion, and the unyielding force of dynastic power. Kim Jong-un was groomed from a young age to understand the intricacies of power. He was often seen at military events, observing and learning. His father, Kim Jong-il, ensured that he was well versed in the ways of leadership. Kim Jong-un also spent time abroad, studying in Switzerland, which gave him a broader perspective. Upon his return to North Korea, he was quickly integrated into the political and military framework. He participated in strategy meetings and military exercises, solidifying his role as a future leader. His public appearances with his father were carefully managed to build his image. By the time he was officially named as the successor, the North Korean public was already familiar with him. The death of Kim Jong-il was a turning point, thrusting Kim Jong-un into the highest echelons of power. He addressed the nation, promising to uphold his father's legacy and continue the policies of the regime. His early actions as leader were focused on consolidating his power and ensuring the loyalty of the military. He held numerous strategy sessions with his generals, emphasizing the importance of military strength. Kim Jong-un also made efforts to engage with the public, appearing at various state functions and events. He visited factories and projects, showcasing his commitment to the country's development. His interactions with children and students were highlighted to portray a caring and involved leader. Despite the public image, Kim Jong-un's private life remained largely a mystery, adding to his enigmatic persona. He hosted state dinners and met with foreign dignitaries, positioning himself as a capable and confident leader on the world stage. His participation in international summits further solidified his role as the face of North Korea. Through calculated decisions and strategic moves, Kim Jong-un has maintained his grip on power. His leadership style, marked by a blend of fear and loyalty, continues to shape the future of North Korea. As he navigates the complexities of leadership, Kim Jong Un remains an enigmatic figure, both feared and revered. His rise to power, though fraught with challenges, has cemented his place in the annals of North Korean history. The legacy of Kim Jong Un is still unfolding, but his impact on the nation is undeniable. As North Korea continues to navigate its path under his rule, the world watches closely, trying to decipher the enigma that is Kim Jong Un. After securing his grip on power, Kim Jong Un turned his attention outward, determined to make his mark on the world stage. The world watched with a mix of apprehension and curiosity as North Korea's young leader emerged from the shadows, intent on reshaping his country's role in global affairs. Kim's approach to foreign relations has been a complex blend of confrontation, calculated diplomacy, and unpredictable theatrics, keeping both allies and adversaries on edge. His early years in power were marked by a series of high-profile missile tests and nuclear demonstrations, drawing swift condemnation and tough sanctions from the international community, including the United Nations and major world powers. These acts of defiance were designed to project strength and force global powers to take notice, ensuring North Korea could not be ignored. Yet behind the scenes, Kim Jong Un was also laying the groundwork for diplomatic engagement, signaling a willingness to negotiate. In 2018, the world was stunned as Kim crossed the heavily fortified border to meet South Korean President Moon Jae-in, a moment that captured global attention. The historic handshake and subsequent summits signaled a rare thaw in inter-Korean relations, raising hopes for peace on the peninsula. For a brief moment, the world dared to imagine a new era of cooperation between North and South Korea. The following months saw even more extraordinary scenes as Kim Jong Un stepped onto the world stage in unprecedented ways. Kim Jong Un met face-to-face with US President Donald Trump, breaking decades of hostility between the two nations. The Singapore summit, followed by talks in Hanoi and the demilitarized zone, were unprecedented moments in diplomatic history. While these summits were heavy on symbolism and light on concrete progress, they showcased Kim's willingness to engage directly with adversaries. The world watched as the two leaders posed for photos, but the path to lasting peace remained elusive. Kim's diplomatic overtures extended beyond the United States and South Korea. He also sought to strengthen ties with traditional allies, most notably China and Russia. His meetings with Chinese President Xi Jinping underscored the enduring importance of Beijing to Pyongyang's survival, with China serving as North Korea's main economic and diplomatic lifeline. Frequent visits to China signaled a pragmatic approach, balancing North Korea's need for support with its desire for autonomy. Kim's relationship with Xi Jinping has been marked by mutual benefit. China provides economic aid and diplomatic cover, while North Korea offers strategic leverage in regional politics. Kim has also cultivated ties with Russian President Vladimir Putin, meeting in Vladivostok to discuss economic cooperation and regional security. These meetings with Putin have allowed Kim to diversify his diplomatic options and counterbalance pressure from the West. However, diplomacy has always been intertwined with brinkmanship. Talks with the United States and South Korea have repeatedly stalled, derailed by disagreements over sanctions and denuclearization, with each side unwilling to make the first major concession. Kim's regime has not hesitated to revert to provocative missile launches or harsh rhetoric when negotiations falter, reminding the world of North Korea's military capabilities. Through these interactions, Kim Jong Un has positioned himself as both a disruptor and a statesman, adept at playing global powers against one another. His unpredictable style keeps world leaders guessing as they attempt to decipher his next move. Kim's public appearances with global figures are carefully choreographed to reinforce his legitimacy at home and abroad, projecting the image of a confident leader on equal footing with the world's most powerful. In the world of international diplomacy, Kim Jong Un remains an enigmatic figure, shrouded in secrecy and unpredictability. His calculated moves on the global chessboard have redefined North Korea's image, forcing the world to reckon with his leadership. As Kim Jong Un continues to navigate the delicate balance between diplomacy and defiance, the world remains uncertain of what he will do next, watching closely as the enigmatic leader shapes the future of his nation and its place in the world. While Kim Jong Un's diplomatic maneuvers have captured much of the world's attention, his efforts to reshape North Korea's economy are equally significant and complex. Upon assuming power, Kim inherited an economy crippled by decades of isolation, mismanagement, and international sanctions. The country's infrastructure was outdated, and its industries lagged far behind global standards. Determined to change this trajectory, he introduced a series of economic reforms aimed at modernizing the country and improving the standard of living for its citizens. These reforms, though limited, marked a significant departure from the rigid policies of his predecessors. Kim Jong Un's economic policies have been characterized by a mix of centralized control and cautious market liberalization. The government has allowed some market activities, but always under strict state supervision. He has pushed for the development of special economic zones where foreign investment and private enterprise are encouraged, but only within tightly regulated frameworks. These zones, such as the Rason Special Economic Zone, are designed to attract foreign capital and technology, providing a controlled environment for economic experimentation. However, the impact of these zones has been limited by ongoing sanctions and the regime's reluctance to fully embrace open markets. Agriculture, a critical sector in North Korea, has also seen reforms under Kim's leadership. The country has long struggled with food shortages and periodic famines. The introduction of the field responsibility system allowed farmers to retain a portion of their produce, incentivizing productivity and boosting agricultural output. This system, inspired by similar reforms in China, has led to modest improvements in food security. This shift towards a more market-oriented approach has led to some improvements, but chronic malnutrition and food insecurity remain persistent challenges for the regime. Industrial modernization has been another focus of Kim's economic strategy. The regime has invested in upgrading factories and infrastructure, hoping to revive key industries. He has emphasized the importance of developing sectors such as mining, manufacturing, and tourism, viewing them as potential engines of growth. High-profile projects like the construction of the Masikryong ski resort and the Wonsan Kalma coastal tourist area are intended to showcase North Korea's potential as a tourist destination and generate much-needed revenue. However, North Korea's economic ambitions are hampered by severe challenges. The country's limited access to international markets and technology continues to stifle growth. International sanctions imposed in response to the country's nuclear and missile programs have significantly restricted access to foreign capital, technology, and markets. These sanctions have also deterred potential investors and limited the effectiveness of economic reforms. These sanctions have stifled economic growth and exacerbated shortages of essential goods, from fuel to medical supplies. The population often bears the brunt of these shortages, leading to widespread hardship. Despite these obstacles, Kim Jong Un has sought to project an image of economic resilience and self-reliance, emphasizing the regime's ability to withstand external pressure. The regime's Bayongjin policy, which prioritizes simultaneous development of the economy and nuclear capabilities, underscores the dual focus of Kim's leadership. While the pursuit of nuclear weapons has invited international isolation, it is seen domestically as a guarantor of security, allowing Kim to pursue economic reforms without fear of external threats. The COVID-19 pandemic has further strained North Korea's already fragile economy, compounding existing difficulties. Border closures and lockdowns have disrupted trade with China, the country's largest trading partner, leading to severe economic contraction and further shortages. The regime's response has been to double down on self-reliance, urging citizens to endure hardships and rally around the leadership. Kim Jong Un's economic policies reflect a pragmatic recognition of the need for modernization, tempered by the realities of sanctions and geopolitical tensions. The leadership continues to seek ways to adapt, even as it resists fundamental change. His efforts to open up the economy while maintaining strict political control illustrate the delicate balance he seeks to achieve. The regime's fear of losing control has limited the scope and impact of reforms. As North Korea continues to navigate these economic challenges, the world watches with cautious interest, aware that the country's economic trajectory is closely tied to its political and military ambitions. In the shadow of international sanctions and internal constraints, Kim Jong Un's economic vision remains a work in progress. The regime's ability to adapt and innovate will determine its future. The path to modernization is fraught with difficulties, but the regime's resilience and adaptability suggest that North Korea will continue to find ways to survive and possibly thrive in an increasingly complex global landscape. As we conclude our exploration of Kim Jong Un's leadership, the interplay between diplomacy, defiance, and economic strategy remains a defining feature of his rule. The enigmatic leader's ability to navigate these challenges will shape the future of North Korea and its place in the world for years to come. Beneath the surface of North Korea's political maneuvering and economic reforms lies a reality less often discussed, yet deeply consequential: the country's human rights situation. While the world's attention often focuses on nuclear negotiations and diplomatic summits, the daily lives of ordinary North Koreans are shaped by a system of control that is both pervasive and severe. For decades, North Korea has been described as one of the world's most repressive states, where the rights and freedoms taken for granted elsewhere are tightly controlled or absent altogether. The government maintains a vast security apparatus, with surveillance reaching into every aspect of life, from workplaces and schools to private homes. International organizations, including the United Nations, have repeatedly documented widespread and systematic abuses. Human rights groups have compiled extensive reports, drawing on satellite imagery, de facto testimonies, and rare glimpses from inside the country. Reports detail arbitrary arrests, forced labor, torture, and severe restrictions on freedom of expression, movement, and religion. The legal system offers little protection, with trials often held in secret and sentences handed down without due process. The regime's vast network of political prison camps, known as Kwanliso, remains shrouded in secrecy, but survivor testimonies tell of harrowing conditions where starvation, violence, and forced labor are daily realities. Prisoners, including children, are often detained for so-called crimes, as minor as questioning authority or having relatives who defected. Defectors who have managed to escape across the heavily fortified borders recount stories of constant surveillance, collective punishment, and the ever-present threat of reprisal against entire families for the actions of a single individual. The fear of being reported by neighbors or even family members is ever present. Even minor infractions, such as listening to foreign radio or expressing criticism of the government, can lead to years of imprisonment or worse. The regime's intolerance for dissent extends to all forms of communication, with informants embedded throughout society. The regime exerts near total control over information, isolating its citizens from the outside world and shaping perceptions through relentless propaganda. State-run media is the only source of news, and all content is carefully curated to glorify the leadership and demonize perceived enemies. Access to the internet is restricted to a privileged few, and foreign media is strictly banned. Those caught with South Korean dramas, foreign books, or even a foreign phone can face severe punishment, including forced labor or execution. This isolation not only silences dissent, but also makes it nearly impossible for ordinary North Koreans to know what life is like beyond their borders. The regime's control over movement means that most citizens will never leave their hometown, let alone the country. Despite the dangers, a growing number of defectors have risked everything to share their stories with the world. Their journeys are perilous, often involving dangerous crossings into China and months or years in hiding before reaching safety. Their voices, amplified by human rights organizations, have brought rare glimpses of life inside North Korea to global attention. These testimonies have become crucial in documenting abuses and advocating for change. These accounts have prompted international condemnation and calls for accountability, but meaningful change remains elusive. Sanctions and diplomatic pressure have so far failed to bring about significant improvements in the human rights situation. The North Korean government consistently denies allegations of abuse, insisting that reports are fabricated by hostile forces. Officials claim that the country's unique system is misunderstood and that its people are protected and cared for. Yet the mounting evidence paints a stark picture of daily life for millions, a reality marked by fear, deprivation, and the struggle to survive under an all-encompassing system of control. Chronic food shortages, lack of medical care, and forced labor are part of everyday existence for many. While Kim Jong Un's leadership is often viewed through the lens of diplomacy and economic policy, the human rights situation remains a fundamental and unresolved challenge. The regime's focus on military strength and elite privilege comes at the expense of basic rights for the majority. As the world continues to engage with North Korea, the voices of those who have suffered serve as a sobering reminder of the shadows that linger behind the regime's carefully constructed image. The struggle for human rights in North Korea is far from over, and the international community faces a daunting challenge in bringing light to one of the world's darkest corners. Until meaningful change occurs, the stories of North Korea's people, told in whispers, in exile, and in hope, remain a call to action for the world to remember those still living in the shadows. In a country where information is tightly controlled and dissent is met with swift punishment, propaganda becomes one of the most powerful tools in the regime's arsenal. The North Korean government has mastered the art of information management, ensuring that every message, image, and story serves a singular purpose: to reinforce the authority of Kim Jong Un and the state. For Kim Jong Un, the careful crafting of his public image, both at home and abroad, has been central to maintaining his grip on power. His appearances are meticulously staged, his movements choreographed to project confidence, strength, and benevolence. Inside North Korea, state-run media is not just a source of news, but a mechanism for shaping reality itself. The media acts as the regime's mouthpiece, broadcasting only what the leadership wants the people to see and hear. Every photograph, headline, and broadcast is meticulously curated. Teams of editors and censors work tirelessly to ensure that only the most flattering and heroic depictions of Kim Jong Un reach the public. Kim Jong Un is depicted as a wise, compassionate leader, often shown visiting factories, military units, and schools, surrounded by adoring citizens and officials taking careful notes. These images are repeated endlessly, reinforcing the idea that he is the source of all progress and prosperity. These images are designed to inspire loyalty and reinforce the narrative of a leader who is both approachable and all-powerful. The emotional response they evoke is no accident. It is the result of a deliberate and sophisticated propaganda strategy. The cult of personality inherited from his father and grandfather continues to evolve. Kim Jong Un's image is carefully woven into the fabric of North Korean society, linking him to the legacy of his forebears. From murals and statues to songs and children's lessons, Kim's image permeates every aspect of daily life. Children are taught to sing his praises, and classrooms are adorned with his portrait, ensuring that reverence for the leader begins at an early age. Citizens are encouraged to revere him, to attribute all successes to his wisdom, and to see him as the protector of the nation. Public displays of loyalty are not just expected, they are required. Failure to show proper respect is not just frowned upon, it can be dangerous. Surveillance is ever present, and even a hint of dissent can lead to severe consequences. Beyond its borders, North Korea employs propaganda with equal determination. But the strategy shifts here. The regime seeks to control how the world perceives Kim Jong Un and the country he leads. On the international stage, Kim Jong Un is portrayed as a shrewd statesman and a formidable adversary. Carefully selected images show him engaging with world leaders, projecting an image of legitimacy and strength. Carefully staged summits and military parades are broadcast to the world, projecting strength and legitimacy. These events are designed not only for domestic consumption, but also to send a message to foreign audiences. State media highlights moments when Kim defies global pressure, framing him as a defender of sovereignty against foreign aggression. These narratives are amplified to foster national pride and to warn adversaries of North Korea's resolve. Internationally, the regime leverages select images and narratives to shape perceptions. By controlling what is released and when, North Korea attempts to influence global opinion and maintain an aura of unpredictability. While most of the world's media remain skeptical, these efforts still influence how Kim Jong Un is seen on the global stage, sometimes as a ruthless dictator, other times as a leader willing to negotiate. The regime's manipulation of media extends beyond its borders, creating a complex web of perception and reality. In both realms, the line between reality and fiction is blurred. making it difficult to distinguish the man from the myth. Propaganda and media work hand in hand, constructing a narrative that is as much about concealment as it is about revelation. For North Koreans, the relentless stream of propaganda leaves little room for alternative viewpoints. The media landscape is a closed loop, echoing the same messages and images day after day. For outsiders, the carefully managed image complicates efforts to understand the true nature of Kim Jong Un's rule. Analysts and journalists must sift through layers of propaganda to glimpse the reality beneath. In the end, the power of propaganda is not just in what it shows, but in what it conceals. The regime's control over information is both a shield and a weapon, shaping perceptions and protecting secrets. The mirror and the mask, tools that both reflect and obscure, continue to shape the story of Kim Jong Un, both within North Korea and far beyond its borders. In the world of North Korean propaganda, the truth is always just out of reach, hidden behind carefully constructed images and stories. Beneath the surface of North Korea's carefully curated image lies a formidable military apparatus, one that has become central to Kim Jong-un's strategy for survival and power. The military is not just a tool of defense, but the very backbone of the regime, shaping every aspect of North Korean society and politics. From the moment he assumed leadership, Kim has prioritized the modernization and expansion of North Korea's armed forces, positioning the military as both a shield against external threats and a sword to project strength. This dual role is reflected in the regime's relentless focus on military readiness and innovation. At the heart of Kim's military strategy is the doctrine of deterrence. The regime's leadership believes that only overwhelming military power can prevent foreign intervention and ensure the survival of the state. North Korea's vast army, estimated at over 1 million soldiers, is just the beginning. The country maintains one of the world's largest standing armies, with a deep reserve force and a culture of militarization that permeates daily life. The true cornerstone of Kim's approach is the relentless pursuit of advanced weapons, most notably nuclear arms and ballistic missile technology. These programs are the pride of the regime, showcased in parades and state media as symbols of national achievement. These programs are not mere symbols. They are intended as insurance against foreign intervention and as leverage in international negotiations. The nuclear arsenal, in particular, is seen as the ultimate guarantor of sovereignty. Under Kim Jong-un, North Korea has dramatically accelerated its missile testing program. Each launch is meticulously planned and widely publicized, serving both domestic and international audiences. Each test, broadcast with pride on state media, serves a dual purpose: to reassure citizens of the regime's strength and to send a clear message to the world. The spectacle of these launches is designed to inspire loyalty at home and caution abroad. The development of intercontinental ballistic missiles, capable, in theory, of reaching targets far beyond the Korean peninsula, has shifted the strategic calculus in the region and beyond. These advancements have forced neighboring countries and global powers to reconsider their security strategies. North Korea's nuclear ambitions are rooted in a long-standing belief that such weapons are the ultimate guarantor of sovereignty. The regime's willingness to endure international isolation and economic hardship underscores the importance it places on its nuclear arsenal. Kim Jong-un has made it clear the nuclear program is non-negotiable. He has enshrined the country's nuclear status in law, making denuclearization an unlikely prospect under his rule. Underground test sites, mobile launches, and hidden facilities make the program difficult to track and even harder to dismantle. The regime's emphasis on secrecy and mobility complicates any potential military or diplomatic response. International sanctions and diplomatic pressure have done little to slow the regime's progress. Despite economic hardship, North Korea continues to invest heavily in its military programs. Beyond nuclear weapons, North Korea has invested in a range of military capabilities. Its conventional forces include thousands of tanks, armored vehicles, and a significant air force, all maintained in a state of high readiness. Conventional forces remain strong, with artillery positioned along the border and special operations units trained for rapid action. These units are prepared for both defensive and offensive operations, including infiltration and sabotage. The regime has also expanded its cyber warfare capabilities, launching attacks against foreign targets to steal information, disrupt systems, and generate revenue. North Korea's cyber units are considered among the most aggressive in the world, targeting banks, infrastructure, and even cryptocurrency exchanges. Military parades and exercises, often held on significant anniversaries, are more than displays of might. They are opportunities to test new equipment, boost morale, and send strategic signals to both allies and adversaries. These events are carefully orchestrated signals designed to demonstrate readiness and to deter adversaries from taking action. The regime's ability to mobilize large forces on short notice is a key element of its strategy. For Kim Jong Un, these events reinforce the image of a leader in command of a powerful, disciplined force. His personal involvement in military affairs is meant to inspire loyalty and project authority, but beneath the spectacle lies a constant tension. The threat of conflict, accidental or intentional, is ever present, and the stakes are high for both the regime and the region. The immense cost of maintaining such a military places a heavy burden on North Korea's economy and people. Infrastructure and social services often take a backseat to military spending. Resources are diverted from civilian needs to sustain the armed forces and weapons programs. This trade-off is a calculated risk, one that Kim Jong Un believes is necessary to preserve the regime. The leadership's willingness to accept hardship at home in exchange for military strength is a defining feature of North Korea's strategy. Internationally, North Korea's military posture remains a source of instability and concern. The regime's unpredictability and willingness to escalate tensions keep the world on edge. Negotiations and summits have yielded moments of hope, but progress has been fleeting. The fundamental divide over North Korea's nuclear program remains unresolved. The regime's commitment to its military-first policy remains unwavering. Every aspect of society is mobilized to support the armed forces, from education to industry. In Kim Jong Un's North Korea, the military is more than an institution. It is the foundation of his power and the centerpiece of the regime's strategy. The armed forces are both a shield against external threats and a sword for asserting the nation's interests. The sword and the shield, wielded with determination and caution, continue to shape the fate of the nation and the balance of power in the region. As long as Kim Jong Un remains in power, North Korea's military strategies and capabilities will remain at the heart of its identity and its future. As the world watches North Korea, one question looms large. What does the future hold under Kim Jong Un's rule? The answer is as complex and enigmatic as the leader himself. with possibilities ranging from rigid continuity to dramatic transformation. The regime's grip on power appears unshakable, but beneath the surface, uncertainty simmers. Kim Jong Un has consolidated his authority through a combination of loyalty, fear, and spectacle, yet the forces of change are never far away. Experts and analysts offer a range of predictions, each shaped by the complexities of North Korea's society, economy, and international relationships. Some see a nation poised for gradual evolution, while others warn of potential upheaval. Some foresee the continuation of the status quo, with Kim Jong Un maintaining his tight hold on the country. In this scenario, the regime doubles down on military strength and internal control, ensuring that dissent is swiftly suppressed. The government would likely persist with its policy of self-reliance, or juche, resisting outside influence while pursuing limited economic reforms to stabilize the nation. This approach has kept the regime afloat, but at the cost of isolation and hardship for many citizens. The regime's focus on survival means that any economic opening is carefully managed, designed to benefit the elite while avoiding threats to the leadership's authority. For ordinary North Koreans, daily life remains a struggle, marked by scarcity and surveillance. Diplomatic engagement would remain cautious and calculated, with North Korea leveraging its nuclear program for security and bargaining power. The threat of missile tests and military displays serves as both deterrent and negotiation tool. Others speculate about gradual change, economic pressures, shifting regional dynamics, and the aspirations of a younger generation could prompt subtle reforms. The rise of information technology and exposure to outside influences, though limited, are slowly reshaping attitudes. Economic challenges, including sanctions and limited resources, may force the regime to adapt. Small-scale market activity and unofficial trade have already become part of daily life, hinting at the potential for broader transformation. These changes might not lead to openness or democratization, but could improve living standards and allow for greater technological advancement. The regime may permit limited innovation to placate the population and boost productivity. However, any such evolution would be carefully managed to avoid threatening the regime's authority. The leadership's primary goal remains its own survival, and reforms will only go as far as they serve that end. There are also more dramatic scenarios. Some experts warn of the risk of internal instability, sparked by leadership challenges, economic crisis, or public discontent. The tightly controlled society could face sudden shocks if cracks appear in the system. In such a case, the regime's response could be swift and severe, but the outcome is unpredictable. A power struggle or popular uprising could lead to chaos, with far-reaching consequences for the region. The collapse of the Kim dynasty, while unlikely in the near term, would have profound consequences for the Korean peninsula and the world. The question of reunification, humanitarian crisis, and nuclear security would dominate global headlines. The specter of sudden change haunts both North and South Korea, as well as neighboring powers. The future could bring either reconciliation or renewed division, depending on how events unfold. Internationally, North Korea's future remains tied to its relationships with key players: China, the United States, South Korea, and Russia. Each nation has its own interests and strategies, shaping the possibilities for peace or conflict. The potential for renewed dialogue or confrontation will continue to shape the region's security landscape. Diplomatic breakthroughs are possible, but so are setbacks and escalations. Sanctions and diplomatic isolation may persist, but moments of engagement could offer glimmers of hope for peace. The world will watch closely for signs of change, however small. Amid these possibilities, one thing is certain. Kim Jong Un's North Korea is defined by its unpredictability. The leader's decision, shaped by both tradition and ambition, will determine the nation's path. The path ahead is shrouded in secrecy and shaped by a leader whose motives and ambition remain closely guarded. The world can only speculate about his next move. For the people of North Korea and for the world, the future remains an enigma, one that will be revealed step by step in the years to come. As Kim Jong Un continues to chart his course, the world waits, watching for the next chapter in this secretive nation story.